everyone everywhere is wondering if StarTale has gone into a panic, because they have sent out Panic as their second player. Ryung might be on his way to an all-kill. He's at least one step of the way there.
Yeah, I can understand the thought process behind the choice to go for Panic. Panic is plan B. We talked about this a lot during the last season, but to explain this once again, the starting players are known prior to the matches, so you always know that your starting player can prepare specifically for his opponent. And you also know that if he loses, who you are up against. So you can actually send out a plan B and tell one of your players to specifically train for the starting player of your opposing team in case your own starting player loses. And I think this is what we are seeing here today. The only reason why I do not really like the choice that we have right now is that I feel in a situation where they are down 0-1 against a player like Ryung, they need someone that is just a little bit stronger, especially since Panic is playing the same race that Ryung just defeated in the last game. He's another Protoss player. And also, in the last season when Ryung got his all-kill against StarTale, Panic was also plan B. He was the second player and he lost. So I feel this choice is a little bit questionable.
Yeah, for sure. I can totally agree with you there. Notice that we have our win ranking up on the screen. Well, we had, but you guys saw it already while Tyler was describing that scenario with Panic. But you can see Innovation is ahead with 5, as just seen there. Ryung currently on the scoreboard as all the other players on the scoreboard were at 3. But he could definitely get up there today. Certainly could. You can't pass him, but he can get up there.
Well, right now we have Ryung, of course, in a position where he has to be really careful, because as we said, with a plan B player, you always have a specific map that you can pick because you're the second player. It's Whirlwind, so Panic is bound to have some strategy here that he wants to execute against Ryung. And I do not think that he's just saying like, well, I'm gonna go in the late game and best him there. So I feel...
Yeah, I was just saying, if you're the winner of the first set, the second set for you is the hardest set for any player of the entire team match. This is the toughest set. He's playing against somebody who's particularly planned to snipe him on a certain map that he doesn't know the map of. This is the hardest game Ryung will play today if he gets an all-kill, and probably the hardest game any player plays today of all time.
Panic has to prove himself here. If he goes down, then StarTale is already behind with 2 points. We're going into game number 2 of the day here on Whirlwind. Ryung versus Panic at the GSTL. Hell and Wolf.
Full force when I step to the fore, bringing you that fuel source fresh from the core. Right mind flicking strong, you like iodine. With blueprint, these huge quotes that my mind designed.
Second Protoss player for the StarTale team is starting to the bottom left of the map here on Whirlwind in game number 2 of today's GSTL match. It is
StarTale, Panic.
Panic was the starting player in the last season. Oh, sorry, he was the second player in the last season when Ryung was all-killing Team StarTale. He wants to have his revenge today. Starting to the top right, we have said Terran player. For Axiom-Acer, it is
Axiom-Young.
And Ryung knows already that he is up against an opponent who most likely has a specific strategy planned against him. It's Panic's map choice, so this definitely gives him an edge over Ryung here. But still, sending out Panic is definitely a bold move by the StarTale coach. He has a very big roster. He has a lot of good players there, former champions, as well as main competitors in the in the Premier League or former League Codes. So sending out Panic shows a lot of trust in his player, but it's also a move where he is gambling a little bit. If Panic loses here, StarTale is in a world of trouble.
Yeah, this is not just any player that Axiom-Acer has chosen to start. It's Ryung, one of their best players. So you're absolutely right. They're spawning cross positions here on Whirlwind, and if you choose Whirlwind, generally speaking, you've probably got a late game strategy in mind, so this is good for Panic, at least at the start here, that he gets to play cross spawns.
Yeah, either you want to go in the late game or you just want to make sure that your opponent has a pretty tough time scouting what you are going to do. So, in this particular scenario, I'm really interested to see what we see from Panic here. Another problem that StarTale is facing here is that the starting player, that Avenge, was already a Protoss. So Ryung is playing the same matchup back to back, and that will definitely help him a little bit. Whirlwind is a very different map compared to Fruitland. And in this scenario, I mean, Ryung is so good that for me it's really difficult to see Panic win it here. He needs to have a good strategy, and he can definitely do it. I mean, there's no saying that he's a bad player by any means. The guy did very well at the WCS Korea qualifier. But still, again, going up against Ryung, I expected the coach to go for a big name in game number 2.
Yeah, I was expecting the same. Especially since he had so much time to think about it. But Ryung gets lucky here. He scouts cross spawns first, gets in here, sees the Nexus, sees the Mothership core is building, and he even sees how much gas has been mined. So very careful play here by Ryung. Even gets away with the SCV not taking a single shot. So that's really nice for him. And so, as a result, he can alter his play, and he does. Adds that third barracks just like we saw in the previous game. Powers up his barracks very quickly. He's going to have a lot of Marines out early on.
And what we currently, of course, also see is the positioning of the supply depots here, which is going to be really important later on in the game if you want to make sure that your opponent is not going to harass you too much with war prisms here. You have those always at the side of your base. And we have the tech choice here for Panic. He's actually going into a Stargate.
And this kind of makes sense. You know, when you go for a Stargate build on a map this big, you can sometimes throw your opponent off because most people expect a Stargate build on a 2-player map, especially a smaller one, where you can easily get the oracles into the main base. But on a bigger map like this and that cross spawns, Ryung is probably not going to expect the Stargate. He checks for proxies here just to make sure there's no Stargates very close. And from that point on, he's probably thinking, okay, no Stargate, that's not in the bag of builds I'm going to be worried about.
This is a side note for everyone who's interested. Panic ended up in the final of his Code A qualifier bracket, or WCS Challenger League qualifier bracket, where he had to face his own teammate. He actually faced Pet, and he lost to him. So Pet advanced to the Challenger League, whereas Panic is now still in Code B. Yeah. And has to at some point battle his way into the Challenger League. So that's one of the reasons why it's a little bit odd to see him here. But at the same time, the coach has stated in the past that the GSTL is also for him an opportunity to give players that are not individually a bit of time in the limelight, and so they can prove themselves.
What's interesting about Pet and Panic is they're both also former Xenex teammates, so they have a lot of history together. But that Marine is actually on the path to see this Oracle just barely. I think he's going to see it.
He should. No.
Just barely not. Wow. Talk about careful play by Ryung. He's still not going to get the information he knows. But even so, he has enough units here to easily repel this.
Yeah, he's going to suffer a few dead SCVs, but that kind of should be it. And you can really see how careful Ryung is playing here, because he expects Panic to be very aggressive here. Second bunker is going down. Better safe than sorry. Now he's up against the Oracle, though. Immediately 2 kills. 2 kills on the Oracle. 1 SCV gets away.
And he does have a second one on the way, but with the damage he's already taken on the first one, it's not really going to be able to synergize too well. Nice block here on the scout. Really nice scout blocks here by Panic. But Ryung, like you say, is playing so carefully. He has an engineering bay very early. He has the turret up for DTs just in case of DTs. Now has a turret in the main base.
The double bunker, the turrets and all the mineral lines. So right now he's in a great spot. A few of the SCVs will of course fall victim to the Oracle. You cannot really prevent that. But in general, his defense is just really solid here. And the Panic, that's something that he just has to realize. He's trying to get into the main base and do some damage, but immediately he knows, okay, this is going to be a problem. Another thing is, though, that as expected, Panic is going to be aggressive at the front, and we have the third bunker already going down. Ryung needs those units to man the bunkers.
He's going to have +1 and stim when this hits, so, well, actually it looks like just not quite. Here comes the attack. The SCVs do not repair that first bunker, but he's got a good concave at the top of the ramp. Third bunker about to finish, but I don't think it will.
Nice sniping on one of the Stalkers, by the way, and once again with the stim, he's moving in. The time warp is good. The Marines and Marauders retreat for now. The +1 attack upgrade also hit for the Terran player. Finds himself in a really good spot here, but the Protoss still has the better army supply.
Better army supply here for sure. The upgrades on the end definitely working in the opposite favor. Looks like a misclick on that Oracle to use the reveal.
Yeah, definitely a misclick. I don't think that was intended. He's going for additional Phoenixes now to round things up, but the big problem for him really being that even the Oracle in the main base should not be able to do too much damage here with the turrets in place.
Yeah, I mean, even if he gets 3 or 4 SCVs here, it's not something that Ryung is going to panic about. He's got 2 Marines, and 2 Marines alone with stem are going to push this back.
Yeah, calm and collected, definitely not going into panic mode. And here we have now the Oracle moving in once again, but the Marines are already there. Only 2 of them, that's not going to cut it.
Yeah.
8 kills.
8 kills on that Oracle.
13 Harvesters killed in total. That's a decent job on the Harvester kills. One of the problems that he has, on the other hand, is that in the Harvester count in general, we have Panic only ahead by 2, and that's not the situation where you want to be in against a Terran player that is relying on 2 command centers already.
Yeah.
So he was stacking a few probes to build here when he was going for the attack, but Ryung, he was so ready for it.
And beyond that, Ryung has +1, soon to have +1 armor.
And
he has Stim, combat shield's almost finished. If I'm Ryung, I'm going to start a 3rd command center very soon here while moving out the pressure because I've got medevacs too.
Ryung is definitely in a great spot, and the 3rd CC is already coming up. There is no reason to not get the command center right now. He has the better force in the game already. He has really good upgrades. He has a decent tech. So in this situation, Ryung has a very good position against his opponent.
We had a revelation on the front of the army, so he has all these units spotted now, as well as the bunkers, so at least he knows where the Marines are, and that gives him the chance to try to delay this command center, and he does just a little bit, and that's pretty cool. Just all these little things that Panic is doing start to add up to be annoying.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be quite annoying, and those Phoenixes, they are going to be a huge surprise.
Yeah, and they were not scouted by that scan. So
he sees the pylon, but does he drop a second scan to find out what exactly is hidden there, or does he just think it's going to be a pylon to spot drops?
He also sees the bay now, and that's kind of delayed, but he's not going to necessarily assume that that means there's Phoenixes here. And Phoenix Colossi is such a strong population they've not scouted if you don't have enough Vikings. I really like this choice by Panic. It could definitely work out for him if Ryung doesn't know.
Marino coming up, as well as the second engineering bay for the Terran player, who has the first Vikings in the game to make sure that these Oracles are not going to do too much now. 13 kills in that Oracle makes him a bit of a hero. 18 worker kills in total throughout the game. Definitely a good position here from a point of damage that Panic was able to dish out. But Ryung is still very close in overall supply and has with that 3rd CC a very strong economy.
Yeah, 65 probes to 48 SCVs may look like a massive deal, but when you have that 3rd CC and the 3rd Mule, you can hold even with that for a while.
And that also results in a better army supply, or soon to be a better army supply for a Terran player that has faced the Phoenixes now for the first time. And he needs to be careful now. He actually moves back immediately upon seeing those Phoenixes.
Yeah, does not want to lose his medevacs here. He has to be very careful about that. And also, he doesn't want his starport to get camped, so he can get those Vikings out, because if these Phoenixes camp the starport and start killing his Vikings one by one, he's not going to have any answer for the Colossi, and that's exactly what he's going for here, it looks like, going right into the main base. He can even pick up SCVs.
Yeah. And with the composition that he has, Panic is now in a spot where he can take his 3rd base quite safely. He already finished it. He can guard that without a problem whatsoever. The Terran player is actually falling massively behind in supply. Panic is now in a position where he should be able to defend against this beautiful force fields, cutting the army in half. Could have used another one there to shield those Marines for a second, but he's very hesitant to move into the concave for good reason.
Yeah, good reason indeed, but Ryung has to retreat. The Phoenixes have done so much damage already. Worker count now is 69 to 53. Ryung stabilizing a little bit, but he doesn't have the 3rd CC landed. He's just now moving it.
But that's something that he definitely has to do. He needs that 3rd command center on the ground, and he needs it there fast so that he has the income. And then there, once again, the Phoenix is moving in. Keep those upgrades in mind. +2/+2 on the way for the Terran player.
Oh, he does not want to lose these Vikings. Nice control, losing only one. But losing an SCV here, delaying a building, killing some spawning Vikings. That's what I'm talking about, camping the starport. That's exactly how you stop a Terran player from killing your Colossi.
And now the Templar Archive has been completed, so he can go into Storm. That's something that was missing for Avenge earlier. It was one of the main things why he lost that game. And 25 Harvesters killed and even increasing. At the beginning, the Oracles, they didn't really do too much, but then over time, Panic was really able to take down a lot of the Harvesters of Ryung, and it's starting to really matter.
Yeah, killing another SCV building a turret. And the Phoenixes have been well worth their cost, and he's already switching out of Colossi. When you see Phoenixes, you always want to have a second starport, but he's just now finishing that, and by the time it's done, it's not going to matter anymore because Storm is halfway done here, and he's already switched out of this composition. The Phoenixes now are just kind of an added bonus that he has.
For the reasons mentioned at the beginning of the game, I was really doubting the choice to go for Panic here a little bit. Second Protoss player in a row, a player that lost to Ryung in the past already in this situation, and definitely not one of the big names of the StarTale roster, but he is definitely giving Ryung a run for his money right now. Panic, with a map choice, is in a really good spot. He has a 30 supply lead, he's building up that bank, and he's also getting his tech out. The Storm upgrade will finish in time to welcome this Terran army that is currently moving across the map.
Yeah, he cannot fight this. And at this point, Panic could even take a 4th base. He has 1,500 minerals, And with all these gateways being added here, he is saying, I'm going for the kill. No more Observer here, but he has the warp-in point. He has so many warp-ins he can use with these gateways. As soon as his units die, they're going to be replaced in seconds.
Panic is playing so much better if you compare this play against what he showed us in the last season, the game against Ryung. This is just so much stronger what we're currently seeing from him.
Here's the revelation. You can see every unit, including the Vikings.
Really well done. The Vikings with a snipe on the Mothership Core on the other hand. And now Ryung, he has to fight. Panic is moving in, charging into the battle. The Storms are being dropped immediately, doing a ton of damage, and he's forcing Ryung back. Is massively ahead in supply now.
Ryung having the much better upgrades with a much smaller army, and even the Concave is not enough to save him here. Way too much AoE.
He has, on the other hand, the army supply lead for a couple of seconds here, and he's trying to make good use of the defense that he has on the top of the ramp. The bunkers are being utilized as well as the missile turret. He's taking out most of the Colossi. The Vikings, sorry, the Phoenixes are already on the move back, but here comes another warp-in of Zealots, and they are forcing the Terran player back once again.
Yeah, you know, it doesn't look like it, but this is basically a timing attack. He added all those gateways. He knew that Ryung was vulnerable right now. He invests a lot in those upgrades, and you know, he's totally taking control here. He's going to force a lift at the third base at the very least. Ryung just desperately trying to get more better upgraded units out here. But this Protoss army is too strong, and he still has 3 bases to fall back on. He's starting +3 armor here.
Ryung is trying to force Panic into choke points where he can really make good use of his army and the composition. But the Protoss player is just swinging from base to base and always sending another round of warp-ins into flank the Terran player's army. That's exactly what happens here. Once again, we see the EMP, but it doesn't do too much. The Zealots are still in charge mode, moving in, and the Terran player stutter stepping his way back, trying to hide between the mineral patches and the supply depots, but he's already down to 60 supply.
GG.
And there's the GG as Panic takes down Ryung. Well played. Relief and happiness on the face of the StarTale coach. Panic gets his revenge against Ryung for last season's loss. Well played. Really well done
indeed.
here.
A great build. Very good execution. Even though his Oracle wasn't scouted, with great defense by Ryung, but he just kept his Oracles alive, constantly harassed, delayed buildings, kill 1 SCV at a time, and you kill 1 SCV at a time 10 times, so you kill 10 SCVs. Sounds really simple, but eventually you start to lose your momentum with your economy. Then the hidden Phoenix tech, which was obviously his plan from the beginning, was a really nice touch to his strategy here.
Yeah, really well done here. And for Ryung, I feel that once that he got those missile turrets in place, he really didn't take those Oracles serious anymore. And he actually lost a lot to those. At the beginning was absolutely fine. He lost a couple of SCVs and it was great because, well, he already had the second CC up. Things were good. But then the Oracles just came back and always took a couple of units down, killed a few Marines in the process as well, and he just added up over time.
And you know, some of the best kills that he got were not where the turrets were. They were actually in the main base, away from the turrets at his production, killing a Marine at a time, killing an SCV building, a starport, killing an SCV building, an engineering bay. Just killing those SCVs starts to add up, and it delays your production.
And you can really see in a game like this how important it can be to be the player who not only takes the map but already knows the opponent that he's going to face. Panic definitely the plan B of StarTale in case that Avenge, the starting player, loses here. And it paid off to send him out here. 2 Protoss back-to-back. Ryung able to take down the first one, but against the second, then he has to yield. And the season is just not going for Ryung this time.
No, yeah, he's got to be really frustrated. Yeah, he took a win. He went 1-1, so that's never something to be ashamed of. But for him, he really wants that individual league score, and so far it's just not working out for him.
And now, of course, Axiom-Acer has to come up with another player to send out here. And as we said before, they do not have Zerg players, so the only option for them is to either choose a Terran player here or go for a Protoss into a PvP. Yeah,
I'm wondering what they're going to do here. I could see them sending out Alicia for a PvP, actually. He's pretty good there. And, I mean, PvP is a mirror matchup, so weird things can happen. But this guy, Panic, was practicing for Terran, especially on Whirlwind, a snipe map. And Alicia could just come out and say, yeah, I'm going to PvP you, I think I'll beat you, I have more experience than you, and then I'll play against somebody else.
I think if they don't want to PvP, they're most likely going to send out Hard. And yep, it's him.
Yeah, I thought about Hurt, but they just haven't really used him all too often, so I ruled him out, but I guess that he's a good choice here. I like it.
The only thing why I thought about Hurt is I don't think you want to send Innovation out now because you give your opponent too much chance to snipe him. And another Terran player would be hard to, we haven't seen this season just yet, so that's someone that you can always send out to also give him a chance here in the GSTL. But that would be if you want to avoid the Protoss versus Protoss. And Protoss versus Protoss is always taking a little bit of a risk, especially if you're up against a player like Panic. You don't really know where are his strengths, what exactly is he going to do, and you can always just run into a build that takes you down early. So hard is the choice. And therefore we're going into our third Terran versus Protoss in a row.
You know what's funny about this is we just keep having players pick the race that, you know, it's just Terran versus Protoss back to back. So, you know, you have Panic come out after Protoss is beaten, even though he's a Protoss. Then you have Heart come out after Panic beats a Terran. So you have a Protoss versus Terran again. And what we saw from Panic, though, was a pretty specific build on a pretty specific map. So I think that's why Heart is just like, no, I think I'm better than you in a straight-up game, so I'm going to beat you here on Tristram, which is the map.
This is definitely one of the situations now where Panic has to prove himself more than he did in the last game. In the last game, he had a few significant advantages over Ryang because it was his map choice and he could prepare for Ryang specifically. Here we have now Heart. Yes, another Terran player, so the same matchup, but Heart has the map choice, and he chose Tristram. And Panic did not prepare for him specifically, so he doesn't really know what to expect here. He has to make the decisions a little bit more on the fly, and now we're gonna find out if he is able to do that, if he's able to take down a second Terran player, and if Heart can do what Axiom-Acer needs right now.
Yeah, let's hope he can, for his sake. He has not come out this season, this is his first time. Tristram is the map.
StarTale versus Axiom-Acer here at the GSTL, ladies and gentlemen. Second season 2013, we have Panic up against Heart. The GSTL, all on wall.
It's full force when I step to the fore, bringing you that fuel source fresh from the core. Right mind fitting strong,